Werner and the Pigeons, you're welcome in Frankfurt. It was very nice that you played in our concert, our FIM concert.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for having us.
it was a very nice concert and I liked it very much. So I have some questions about you or American scene. So I want to ask
Controversial.
Yeah. How is today the situation of experimental and improv scene in New York?
How is the scene, experimental scene in New York? Do you have anything to say about it?
It's a very vibrant scene.
Yeah.
It's a very vibrant scene. There's a lot of young musicians, old musicians. There's still musicians from the early downtown scene that are still around and performing in the same communities.
Okay.
So I would say it's a very vibrant community still.
Yeah. Is it is the scene independent or is it connected with clubs or stages or it's?
I think there's certain places that are connected.
Yeah.
We have places in Brooklyn and maybe Manhattan now. At this point, we have the Stone, which is now institutionalized with the new
Stone
school.
is the name of the
the Stone,
venue.
which was the John Zorn venue.
There's also this place, Sisters, that took the same model, where they give the musicians 100% of the door.
Yeah.
And those places do very well because, like, it's not commercial music, so you need a little bit more support.
Yeah.
Than if you were in a successful pop group. You need ground floor support. And I think, relative to other cities in America right now, it's pretty. It doesn't really get better than New York because, and the main reason is it attracts people from all over the world, and other cities don't.
Right.
So I think that's the biggest thing distinguishing. It's like you meet people from all over the world that come there to try their best, like do their best. I came here to do my best. That's a powerful. A lot of people are coming to a certain place for that reason specifically. It pushes you. You never feel like you've arrived. You always have to keep pushing. And I think everyone feels like that a little bit. So I think that's great. Yeah.
It's also people come from the other cities.
Absolutely.
It's like in Germany, like Berlin.
Absolutely.
There's a
Frankfurt was in the 60s, 70s, 80s the center of jazz, and then a unification. After unification, Berlin gets a big harp, and a very high quality musician went to Berlin. So that's also, Berlin is quite a big scene of improvised music.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I came from Tokyo and I'm staying in New York. I really all of us came from somewhere else, except for Harvey from Jersey.
Honestly, the majority of people I meet are not from New York originally. And that goes across the arts, not even just music, People come there, like Matt's saying, to do something at the highest level possible.
They get pushed. I mean, it's being pushed. You're constantly. The city itself pushes you all the time.
It's a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
The pressure cooker.
It's really great. I think
Pressure cooker.
if you can handle it, you'll grow so fast.
Right.
Yeah.
Wenn was übrig bleibt. Okay, ciao.
Yeah. Then I have another question. Is it difficult to survive as a musician in the expensive city of New York?
I don't want to say it is, but it isn't, but it is. Yes, it is. Yeah, the rent is expensive for me, so I will have to make sure I have enough money to pay the bills and the rent. So it is. Yeah, it is. I feel it is difficult. What do you guys think?
It's a very difficult city. It's in a very expensive city, as you're saying. The rents are very high. We were talking earlier about going to the grocery store and everything, how expensive it is there compared to here. It's and there's very little government support for the arts, specifically for this type of music.
Also the payment for performing is not really good. It's just that people don't pay. I feel like people don't pay much money for the musicians in the art activities, so that makes it difficult for us to make money in New York City. I wish that's not true, but that's the reality that we're facing.
And how do you get your money? How do you earn your money? With like a teacher or?
I'm a Broadway musician, so I work full time as a Broadway musician.
Okay,
so it's still
more
music.
Commercial.
It's commercial music. It's commercial art.
I play in like 7 or 8 things, and it all kind of works out barely. But no, definitely want twice as much money as I make in a year.
Right.
But then, the statistic for American musicians, how much the average American musician makes in one single year, 90% make under $10,000. So if 90%, 90%.
I mean, at best, maybe 30,000 a year.
Right, but if you make 30,000,
that would be like
if you make
success.
30,000 a year,
That's very less for Frankfurt,
Very good. Is it good?
30,000 is for Frankfurt, to live in Frankfurt
It's good or
no, it's not.
not?
good.
Alright, so imagine in
and
New York City.
that's the upper echelon of this music. So even people that you would be like, oh, they're fine, they got it, they got this New York Times article. They have to work at coffee shops.
Right.
It's not enough. There is not enough money, period. So everyone has like 2 or 3 other hustles, or they're doing like 20 bands, and like it barely works out. But that's that's the pressure cooker thing. I mean, it definitely should be easier. I mean, it's bullshit. Sorry.
In a way, it's almost like that's the proof that people really love what they're doing, because to sustain it, they have to almost torture themselves.
Right.
And
no sane person would be like, let me sign up for this.
Yeah, the reward is the music making experience.
Right, exactly.
And like I teach lessons out of my rehearsal space, and I'm in, like you said, like 20 different bands, and then I do freelance stuff. And I live with 3 people, and I'm 41 years old, so I guess I love it, because what else am I doing?
You have to love the music and what you're doing, because it sounds very stressful.
I think that's the thing. Is like, if you love it that much, it feels worth it in a twisted way,
And it is just an amazing city to live in for so many reasons. Like, it's funny to even like cite this, but like Queens Night Market,
of course,
there's just these amazing things. Like, we go to this thing on Saturdays in Queens. I don't know if it's Jackson Heights, but like Jackson Heights is maybe the most diverse neighborhood in the world.
It is the most diverse.
And it's just all these food vendors. Jackson Heights, Queens.
It's a
exactly. It's a neighborhood in the borough of Queens, and it's just, the food is just amazing, and from every part of the world. It's just you have these moments when you're like, okay, the life experiences I'm having are far worth it, and like other people's experiences are worth it to them, having babies and stuff, But for me, it's eating a bunch of food at the Queens Night Market and playing music with them. So, to each their
we're on
own.
the same page there. That's my old not kids.
That's my baby. Yeah.
It depends also on the age.
100%.
100%. Very true.
Yes.
Okay. Then Sana, I have a question to you personally. What do you want to express with your music? A lot of your music is composed. In which direction do you want to develop your music in the future? And from which musicians you still influenced?
Okay. So which musician I'm influenced? Not sure, a lot of things. But yeah, with my music, when I write and when I improvise, when I compose, I think that a lot of the time it's about doing something new. Like today when I was just playing, it's actually, I feel like as a musician I'm in a bit of a transitional place, and where I feel like I'm emptying my mind, and I try to just like see what I want to do. Try to listen to some sounds that I should be playing, but then sometimes I don't wanna. I just want to keep it more open than ever. So that's what I was trying to do today, just on the stage. I usually do stuff like, okay, what am I supposed to play, and what do I think other people will, not like would like to hear, but what I can do so that I can connect with the audience or with the band members. I like to think stuff like that a lot of the time, but this time I wanted to do something, I don't know, different. I just felt like, okay, I did a lot of that, so now I want to do something different. Then what? I didn't know, I couldn't really tell what I really wanted to have as a concept of improvisation today. And that's actually a good thing for me, because then when I don't know, I might find something that's really.
It's more coming from yourself.
From my
intuitive or.
Yes.
Very intuitions. And then, but then if it's always the same level of the intuitions, it is a little bit like stagnant for me. So I felt like I've been feeling like that. So that's the place where I think I get to grow and open up to the next part of myself as a musician. So I've been kind of living like that all my life up to now. I started playing music when I was 3, so I did a lot of different stuff. And then I've been improvising not so long, maybe like, jazz and stuff, maybe like from 2021 or something in college. Up to I was doing classical music, and so there was always the place where I don't know what I'm doing in a good way, because it's like, I'm in a void where I don't have to decide, or I don't want to judge whatever the idea, but just let things and idea come. But then that level is always different. So today it felt a little bit like more free flow in my mind. I didn't want to really think like, what do people want to hear? How can I connect with people too much? Because then that also feels like a little bit of not really a control, but a little bit one direction. So I just kind of kept things open today. And that's what I like about music. It's about changing, doing different things. Also about being diverse as much as possible as a person. It's not just about genders and races and all that and cultures, but just in terms of being open to all the ideas that are out there. And when we rehearse, because the music is very difficult, there are a lot of different ideas that come in a rehearsal, and sometimes we argue. And that also, I want to think of like arguments and I wouldn't say fight, because we don't really do that, but stuff like that also as an idea. It teaches me to accept different people's perspective, and
you develop the music together, or you compose the music and then you change a little bit with the influence of the other, or is it more like this, or do you develop really? I write music of my own, and I do have a lot of opinions, knowing that it's going to change though. I like to have my opinions, but then I'll push it, but then when it feels right, I love to change it. So it's gonna be changing all the time, and I think that's how it's supposed to be, because if I decide that one thing should be this way, then that's it. Why do we do? So we talk a lot, and there'll be a lot of it's not a fast process, but it doesn't need to be. There's enough time. So we do take time, and we discuss, and then we argue sometimes, and then we just keep doing it. We sometimes. We argue and we apologize to each other. Sorry for saying that, or whatever. But these guys are cool, I think, and I think that we're cool. And so I appreciate that process, that the space and team membership that we have enough trust with each other, that sometimes we fuck things up and then it's okay. We support each other. And so this whole thing about music is teaching me about how to exist in a society, because that's how it's supposed to be, right? In this world, if we want to create the world where different people can be together, then we need to be able to discuss things and take time and forgive self and others and accept different parts of ourselves. And this music is written with all the different parts and the polyrhythms, because I thought about that. Everybody's different. Like men and women are different, and they're different kind of. They're all the people in the middle. Bisexuals and all these people, and everybody's different. And then we have to create the world where everybody is happy enough. Happy, and everybody can express themselves the way they really want. So there will be a lot of adjustments that we have to make, and I think that's how it's supposed to be. If we're rushing through things too much, and we don't have time to really understand other people and to empathize with other people. And this music is so difficult in terms of the rhythms that we're forced to listen to each other. And listen to each other's like energy. Like I was just really have to pay attention to Danny's tempo and speed. And sometimes we go fast and slow, but then sometimes we like it, sometimes it's too much, and then that's the part we have to kind of stop and have a conversation. But then we should, because everybody's expression is so important. Everybody's difference is very important.
I think we have to enjoy it rather than saying that we have to be this way or that way, or you should be this way or that way. And I want the world to be better. You know, I want the people to get along in a way, you know, without changing who they are too much. So as an artist, I wanted to always express that sort of stuff. I'm not really a political person, but as an artist, there's something that I can do to promote expressions, the true individual expressions, and you know, I want everybody to be who they are, the way they want. I want everybody to be happy. So as an artist, what can I do? I thought about it, and I write music like this, and I try to do band like this, and I improvise, you know, and try to be open and grow every day. So that's my thing about music. Anybody else want something to add to it?
Yeah, I think it's intuitive what Sana's. I mean, she gives us the scores and then we work through it. So it is definitely from Sana's mind, but I think it's intuitive energy. It's not. There's no concept before she writes it. It feels like in the midst of the piece, it's like this thread that's going like this in a very, even though it's very tight and controlled, it's loose energy. We control the energy like unto itself, but the actual energy is loose. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like fluid, even though it's tight. So I think the contradiction of having tight music with improv and fluid energy is like the balance of those things. Because if it's, that's what she's saying, if it's only one thing, we're bored. It can't just be defined too rigidly, right. or it's boring, you know.
Yeah, there's like a Rorschach sort of element to it of exactly. Like, you know, yes, it is what it is, and you could argue that it's finite in the notes on the page and where they are and what they are, but you could envision so much within that and perceive that in so many different ways. And I think kind of getting to what Sana's saying, like, I think one thing that's special about this project is, we're looking at this, and as specific as it is, we're interpreting it in totally different ways. And certainly as a drummer, you know, even when you're playing in a project where you're not necessarily supposed to be improvising all the time, you're embellishing all the time. Even when someone says play a basic eighth note backbeat, the way you do that is creative and different to different people, and your even the concept of a feel just kind of means how much space do you put in between these eighth notes. You know, you could three people could be right, but they sound totally different. So, you know, already that element is there, and then with Sana as band leader, you know, she's open to these interpretations and these different ideas. So we'll, you know, get comfortable with what's written, and then we'll start to interpret it our different ways, and we end up taking a lot of that and using it, you know, and Sana will be like, you know, maybe you're playing something that's different than the part, but I like what you're playing, or it's serving whatever else is going on, or so, you know, certainly as someone who's played with a lot of composers that write really difficult music, in many cases they're very rigid with it, and it's very just, you tell me exactly what to do, and that's fine. And you know, it's like I like the process of having to like rise to that occasion and be a human robot or whatever. But but it's cool just to be able to add my take to something and have that be embraced, and you know, and I think there's just and there's just different influences. You know, I think when you embrace that too, like a band should embrace the influences that each member has, and as long as they're not, you know, compromising the ultimate vision in some way, then it's like as someone that writes music myself, it's like I think sometimes something comes from someone interpreting your music that you never could have envisioned. And in some cases, I think for, you know, music that has a lot of improvisation, we've talked about this a lot, where, you know, you're writing it for the person who's going to be interpreting it. You're writing it because you know this person that's going to play it their way is going to do all these extra things with it, and you just know it's going to be good. You trust that it's going to be good. You're like, if I give them this, the stuff they'll do with it is going to be amazing, you know. And so like personally, I can only really get inspired to write music when I know exactly who the group is and what they can do, and I go, oh, what can I give them that's just going to take off, you know. So I sense that a lot with Sana's music, and I think, you know, again, we have to work on it so much because it's so damn hard that we end up really building a strong foundation, which I think a lot of people in this genre, there's like a lot of changeover, there's a lot of, I get it, you want to work with a lot of different people, but it's sometimes people don't form these like cohesive units as much as they I think should, you know.
It's a luxury to have a band in New York City, meaning, you know, 4 members that can be consistent enough to show up to a rehearsal, to show up to a gig. Because as Eugene was saying, or, you know, you're in 10 different bands, or, you know, I'm running around to a Broadway musical all the time, you know, it's like it gets very much, you know, a juggling act. So, you know, to show up to be in a band is a luxury. To have 4 people like show up every week to a rehearsal. You know, it's not the common thing in New York City.
Okay.
You know, especially in this scenario where it's demanding to have a lot of rehearsal. You know.
Yeah, we're all so busy. It's like it's, you know, we make the time, but it's hard to make the time. You know.
Okay.
Yeah, it is hard.
When you have so much groups, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing.
Appointment,
That's
it would be difficult.
Yeah.
And do you have a room or a rehearsal?
Yeah, we have a studio.
Yeah, I have a space, and Matt has a space.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. It was very interesting. I think all is diverse, you know, with the musicians and what they bring, you know. And then you could be very different if you write the same thing and this musician plays this and the other. It's, you know, so you see in the festival, all is a different expression. So it's nice that you make more a group work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Not only.
And a part of that too is like Sana writes stuff that I've never heard before in terms of the rhythm. Like I literally I don't have any precedent for knowing what it is, and I think Danny and Harvey are in a similar boat. So what it really requires is very clear communication in speech. Like that's more what it requires. We are capable of playing it, but to understand it, that requires deep communication. And that's like more deeper communication than you have with family and friends sometimes, because the way you have to communicate is uber clear. If there's one word that's not right, now I don't understand.
Changes
And
everything.
it's more about communication than technique in a way. And that's something I wanted to just put on the table, because I think that's what makes it work, is the communication. Yeah.
Okay, then I thank you very much that you came.
Thank you.
It was very nice, and then maybe see you another time.
Hope so, yeah. This was really great.